I'm going to, hopefully you can see this screen. Okay, so thank you very much, Kamesh, for noticing that it didn't click. So when you click on that particular screen, you should see something like this. And so what we have is we have our acid, strong acid HCl with a strong base NaOH. Okay, now we have our indicators here on the bottom. Okay, and so as we titrate, so notice for strong acid, strong base titration, I keep on adding 1 mil. Notice you have this nice curve here. Now, as I get closer, I'm going to add a little bit less. One more. Now, you will notice I'm adding 0.1 mil. And notice it starts to change. And then, once I hit, boom. Notice it jumps to a very high pH. And notice the color changes. And then you get this nice titration curve. Okay? Now, remember how you would get the pH of a strong acid, strong base titration is by looking at the midpoint of this high curve, this dramatic change in pH. Notice it goes from about 2.8 all the way to about 10.9. Near the middle, you get a pH of 7. This is how you know it's a strong acid, strong base titration. And again, you notice the volume at the midpoint here is about 25 mils. That is how you know you reach the end point or the volume of sodium hydroxide that you use to reach equivalence point. Now, again, I said you could use whatever indicator you use, because if I were to reset it, but this time I'm going to use phenolphthalein. And again, if I add 1 mil, okay, keeping everything else the same, you will notice that at 25 mils, it still changes pH, and then I add 1 more, boom. That 0.5 of a mil that I've added, notice the color changed. And so this is why you can basically use any indicator for strong acid, strong base titration, because the change in pH is so great that it basically crosses all the indicators or majority of the indicators that is commonly used. Now, like I said, for weak acid, weak acid, strong base titrations, so let's say for a weak acid, CH3CO2H, acetic acid with sodium hydroxide, it's a weak acid, strong base. So we have to be a little bit more particular with our indicators. So let's say if I chose, I'm going to choose methyl orange. Okay, so we notice we have a color here. So let's titrate. Notice it changes color already on the bottom right-hand corner. And even before I hit the endpoint, boom. Notice the color was already changed. It changed very early over here. Okay? Now, so this is why we have to be a little bit more careful. So if I retitrate and let's say use phenolphthalein, again, check out the color. Notice the color doesn't change. And then let's add 24. Keep on going. And then when I hit my 25, notice the color changes a little bit, and then a lot, and then you have your color. So that's what you are looking for in terms of the indicator. Okay, so in this case, for this particular titration, phenolphthalein is good. Methyl orange, bad. Okay, you might say, well, what about bromthiamyl blue? Well, bromthiamyl blue is yellow. If we keep on going, okay, notice it turns green, it turns blue. It might work. It'd probably be pretty good, okay? But definitely not methyl orange. Okay, so that is something for you to be aware of.